and Banner Podcast. Brews and Banner Podcast. What up? Welcome to Brews and Banner Podcast. I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, is the Legendary Brew Crew. What up, fellas?
I got water, I got, juice or whatever. He's like, y'all need twin legs? Matter of fact, I do.
My question to everybody is, does Delaware have an actual culture? This is the podcast that we talk about beer, but we also talk about a lot of things that's happening in the world, politics, movies, anything really that comes to our mind while we're here sampling these brews. Grab a drink and pull up a chair.
You know exactly who it was then.
What up? Welcome to Bruising Banter Podcast, where the topic is the rocket and the brew. Will that be the fuel? And I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, the Legendary Brew Crew. What up, fellas?
What is going on, everyone?
What's up?
Hi.
Oh, did you say Aaron? Was that your...
Yeah, that was my intro.
He threw the guns, too. He threw them guns up, too.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is episode 81 of Brews and Banter, and it is volume 17 of our social distancing series. So, as always, we have a special guest with us today. We have Brewmaster from Precarious Beer Project, Greg Fleehart. How are you today, sir?
Good.
Yeah. Welcome. Thank you for coming, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks
Welcome to the stage.
I'm
sorry that you had nothing else to do, but
Hey, this is a good place to be.
yeah, it is a good place.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Looks like I'm the only one that missed the memo on the attire for today's show. The green and the black seems to be real cohesive.
True.
The look for today, and I'm faded gray.
Yeah, sorry.
We need a cut and change.
It was on the
There you
WhatsApp.
go. And what's that?
You gotta have more than 16 gigs to get that memo.
Jeez.
All right. This is episode 81, as I said. And before we get into it, I probably want to go around. I guess the brew crew can tell us what we are drinking today. I guess, and whoever wants to start first.
I'll start. I just cracked it. I'll start. The first beer we're going to do all three of our beers today from Precarious, since we have the Brewmaster on. We have Phase 3 is our first beer. It is a 5.5 alcohol by volume. It says here it has 100% Nelson Sauvin hops. Is that correct, Greg? Sauvin?
I think so.
It's a dry hop session IPL, and it's in a 1 pint can. It looks like this.
It looks like this.
Ooh. Nice color.
Yeah, nice
golden
golden color. Yep.
I don't know. That glass don't look too clean though.
I know. I saw a lot of bubbles in there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It
It doesn't matter. It
Clean
definitely
beer
smells delicious. It tastes just like an IPA or an IPL is supposed to taste.
I hear you talking.
For all
I
you
hear
guys
talking.
that drink IPAs and IPLs, go ahead and pass yourself another.
So
Yeah.
you're saying you don't. So you're saying you don't like it?
I'll have just one. Thank you for the
Don't
taste.
drink
Have this
IPAs.
one.
Yeah.
All right. I got you. And
I'm gonna go next.
okay, yeah.
So I am representing, I should say, the Black is Beautiful out of Precarious. This is their Imperial Stout with lactose and conditioned cocoa nibs, chilies, and allspice. This here comes in at a whopping 10% ABV. And as you know, this is to show or pay homage, I guess you should say, for the support of justice and equality for people of color. Special edition stout. So this is all the way live right here. This is a delicious dark pour, and this is definitely a pass me another because I got to preview this already. So good. So good. So good.
And our third one is going to be Don't Tell Mom, which is a playoff for Don't Tell Mom, the babysitter's dead.
Ah, nice.
Right?
Is it? Are you guessing that? Or
Nah, it actually says it on the can, the babysitter's dead. See, you don't read the can. Read the can.
I did not read the can.
He don't do no research, Yoda.
I just know it was a Berliner Weiss, not Weiss. Weiss.
Yeah, Berliner Weiss. Yeah, so this is a Berliner Weiss brewed with local Virginia raspberries and Idaho gem hops. And this comes in at a 4.5 ABV. And this is a part of the fruited sour series. So I actually can't wait to drink this one. I should have popped this one open first.
All right. Sounds like we got some good beers, and we can't wait to get the backstory on them. Before we do, we always like to know exactly, start the interview in terms of exactly introducing yourself and how you got into craft beer industry and all that. And then we can go into all about the Precarious Beer Project. But first, we just like to know about who is Greg and how did Greg get into beer?
Let us know.
How are you, Greg? Who are you?
Complex. It's very.
There you go. There you go.
I was born and raised in the Seattle area.
Okay.
So I was on the West Coast until I was moved over to Virginia when I was, so about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I started brewing as a home brewer. So I started just in a tiny apartment, with a kettle burner on the deck that was probably not to code, and it probably could burn the place down. But I definitely started and got obsessed and learned a lot. And 2008 came along, and I was laid off from my job and had nothing to lose, really. So I tried and got a job at a brewery across the water from me called Silver City Brewing Company. Okay. And they're still around today, and they're a huge regional brewery now. Phenomenal people, phenomenal beers. So I learned basically how to professionally brew from those guys. So I was there for, I think, coming up on 2 years, and then had some like short stints at all the breweries throughout, like Fremont Brewing Company, and then Bainbridge Island Brewing Company, a buddy of mine owned. So I helped him out for a little bit, and just kind of continued to grow, and then decided to move to the East Coast to kind of go into a location like Virginia's craft brew scene was blowing up at the time. Mm-hmm. It was right on that like upslope, where you're really experienced, like people are really starting to really get into craft beer. Mm-hmm. The laws had changed a few years before that, where tasting rooms could open and actually serve beer to the public.
Around what year is this, Greg?
So I think that bill passed probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
And so that's when you started to see more and more craft breweries pop up, because that law became feasible financially for breweries to operate. So I started Commonwealth Brewing Company down in Virginia Beach. That's where I first landed. Was there for about 2.5 years, I think. And then it became more of like a big production style brewery. And so I went up to Precarious Beer Project to kind of get back down to the brew pub roots and try to do really creative small batch stuff.
Good stuff.
So when you first started homebrewing, what was like one of the first beers that you brewed?
I think the first beer that I was doing that Mr. Beer kit for a little bit. I did like a couple of those, and it got me hooked, but I was also really frustrated because it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it. Right. So I wanted more control over the process and stuff. And so I started doing like, extract and partial mash. And I did a IPA with a buddy of mine that was Cascade and Amarillo, like West Coast style IPA. That was actually phenomenal. I really liked that one. I did porter, I think, a dry stout for my dad's birthday because he's a big stout guy. Started doing like saisons, and I did like an American wit with chamomile tea and coriander and stuff.
He was doing them all.
Yeah, I think my
he was all the way in.
My first year homebrewing, I think I did. Man, what was it? I think I did like 60 batches of beer.
Jeez.
So I was definitely busy. I remember at one point I had 170 bottles of beer in my house.
Who are you giving this beer to?
Oh, they were Christmas presents. Oh yeah,
they were everyday presents. Just walking down the street, here's a beer.
Anybody want to drink with me? Here's a post. You gotta post something on social media.
Yeah, and social media wasn't even. I mean, Facebook was kind of a thing at that point, and Instagram I don't think it even existed.
No,
or barely did. But it was more a labor of love, and it was something I enjoyed the process and enjoyed, learning more and growing more and trying to get better. And I had a really cool homebrew shop that was like a bike ride down the street, and so I would ride down there, fill up my backpack with ingredients, and ride back up and be able to brew. So it was a fun time. I got really obsessed with it for sure.
Mm-hmm. When you said that that the beers weren't turning out how you wanted them to be when you first started, what was wrong with them?
I didn't quite understand the process as well as I should have. So like when I got a IPA kit for the Mr. Beer, and I was like, well, I know better than the Mr. Beer guy, so I'm going to do it a different way. So they were like, yeah, add these hop pellets for dry hopping to get the big burst of aroma. And what I had been reading was, well, you add them in the hot side to get more flavor. So I added them like, I don't know, 10 minutes in boil or something. And it was like this just earwax flavored beer.
Ew.
Yeah, so I was like, drink more on that.
And then sours came out and you were like, damn.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Exactly.
Before my time.
Yeah. So it was just, I think, more, the ingredients that I was getting in those little tiny kits were not fantastic. The fermentation was really not great on those because it's, you're using like tiny little bit of yeast. And so I started doing more stuff and like buying different yeasts and doing partial mashes and doing that in the Mr. Beer. And then I started getting carboys and doing 5-gallon batches, partial boils, and then got a dorm fridge and gutted it and put a temp probe in it. And so I had like a fermentation chamber, so I could just start doing lagers. So I started doing, like, my first lager was a Munich Dunkel. That turned out pretty good. So I just kept.
Do you have a roommate or anything at this time?
I had a wife at the time.
Okay. I'm about to say, because somebody is I know you're encroaching on somebody's space.
Right. This is the first year.
This was like within 2 years of being married, and then
great,
just exploded off. And she was in grad school at the time too.
Oh man, you was just killing her life right there.
So it was. She definitely put up with it pretty well.
Okay, all right, that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because normally they don't. But yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm fighting for the top shelf in my refrigerator right now. I'm like, look, till I get my mini fridge, leave my shit alone.
She like, drink more. You need to drink more. Get this crap out of here.
What are we doing with all of this? Like,
I'm drinking it. It looks good in there.
Yeah.
And by the way, I got more coming in from Florida, but leave my shit alone.
Did you was there, like, normally we talk to other brewers who start in their house, and if they have a significant other, they're usually the ones that push them to get out of the house of brewing. Was she the one that gave you the extra push, or where did you find the extra push to get out and start finding other breweries to work for and perfect your craft?
I think there was definitely an element of support there. And also it kind of, like I said, like I had nothing to lose. So I lost my job, and we, had to get out of our apartment, and like I was on unemployment, and any money was good money. So we were living with then in-laws, and so it was really something I was actually.
You were brewing beers in the in-laws' house?
Yeah, too. Yep.
They love that
guy. Yeah, they love Greg. Greg's a keeper.
Yeah. And so I ended up I was working volunteering for like one of the first nano breweries in Seattle, actually, called Gilligan's. And it was a guy I met through Homebrew Club that owned it. And it was basically, they'd brew like one batch a week, and it was like a 2-barrel system in one of those active spaces before they banned those breweries in active spaces. So it was like a tiny little, couldn't even fit a car in the space. And it was right on the right on this Burke Gilman Trail, which is like this, exercise trail and bike trail, pretty long, in the Seattle area. So they had a lot of walk up foot traffic, and they, get tastes and sell growlers and stuff. So that was,
Nice.
I used that experience to leverage like interest in me coming to work for a bigger brewery, because they had known that brewery. And they're like, oh yeah, we did a beer dinner with them one time. So I had a little bit of professional experience maybe.
Yeah.
And then interviewed and got the job.
Nice.
I was working, my first month was part-time. I think it was like 50% time for like $10 an hour. And I was commuting on a ferry over across the water. So I was spending like $250 a month just on ferry.
Just on the ferry ride.
And
damn, so you was actually getting paid $5.
So I was basically breaking even working for these guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I got full time, and then I got a raise, and I got lead brewer, and then so it kind of, they took care of me because I was investing.
Right.
Yeah.
How long did the payoff come from the time you started to the time you were not breaking even?
It was only about a month of that like craziness.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Oh yeah, that's
Nice.
good.
Yeah, they were. I think it was going to be more like a 2 or 3 month process, but the head brewer was like, "I need the help," and Greg's doing a job. So
They see you. It was a quick study.
Right.
yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome.
That shows you put in that good first 30 days. You never know.
Right.
Yeah. It was
Work hard.
It was a hard job. I mean, I think I lost probably 40 pounds when I first started working, because their grain room was a level above the brewery, and they literally was like an extension ladder from Home Depot that goes up there. And so we were taking whole sacks of grain up this ladder.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Like it was like wobbling and stuff. And
Oh yeah.
so they did have a grain silo, so our base malt was coming out of a silo, which was nice. But we'd still get truckloads of malt and have to just pump them up the ladder. And no AC or anything. So
talk about some work. You was working, boy.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Now, I always like to, I guess I probably could ask earlier, but in terms of, have you always liked beer? Or craft beer, I should say, specific, or was there a beer that you drank and like, yo, I love this, and which actually got you to buy the Mr. Beer kits and all that kind of stuff?
What's your gateway?
Like, yo,
what's your gateway beer?
I think I can more or less pinpoint it to one beer. I mean, I craft beer was kind of a big thing, and I got into it in college. I went to college at Gonzaga University in Spokane. You're probably familiar with the basketball team. It's pretty famous.
Yeah, John Stockton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so there was a brewery down, I was drinking some craft beers, and they're pretty mundane craft beers. They're more like the tangerine wheats and the, pale ales and stuff like that. They're pretty standard beers. And I wasn't really into it at that time. We're really into it at the time. And then we went down to a brewery that was just down the street called Northern Lights Brewing, and now they're called No Lie. And they brewed right there, and it was pretty cool. We went there for some dinner, and it was like their 13th anniversary, I think. And they had released a double IPA, and I'd never even heard of a double IPA. I was like, well, what the hell is that? So I got it, and it was the most flavor I've ever experienced in a beverage. It was
in a beverage. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, intense hops, intense aroma, intense malt, sweet, bitter, complex. I sipped that snifter, I think probably for 45 minutes, and was just like, how is this possible? They have this much flavor in a beer. So I got more and more. I was always interested in the process, but I got more into it, and started getting, into the hops and into that sort of stuff, and got into like Stone Ruination was a big one. And, finally got to taste Pliny the Elder. And so there's lots of influences past that, but that was kind of the big aha moment that I had was that No Lie 13th anniversary beer. That really kind of kickstarted the interest, I think.
All right.
What's your, out of all the brew styles that you've made and gone through, like what's your favorite brew style to drink, and what's your favorite brew style to actually brew?
Yeah, I get this question a lot, and it's kind of a hard one for me to answer because I think the process of brewing is interesting. So I really enjoy brewing Belgian style beers. That's a huge passion point for me. I really enjoy brewing lagers. I enjoy the process of brewing IPAs. I don't drink a lot of IPAs. I've been drinking a lot more like West Coast style IPAs because my girlfriend's like huge into West Coast style IPAs, so she's been drinking a lot of those, and I've just been kind of getting back into them because that's kind of like where I came from. So that's been nice. And hazies are fun to brew. That was a big challenge for me, was trying to get hazies right. So it's still a process, but that was probably one of the biggest challenges of my brewing career, was trying to brew a hazy that was significant and good and actually made people go, okay, well, this is actually a true hazy IPA. Because there wasn't a lot of that happening in Virginia. So it was, I think the answer was doing kind of a hybrid style. And then the Veil obviously came out with 1-2 punch of doing hazies, and that kind of changed the game. So we started doing them at Commonwealth, and there was definitely a learning curve there.
All right, Lou, there's hope for you, Lou. There's hope for you. There is an IPA out there for you. Okay?
Well, I mean, I've had a couple that I like, but most of them I don't.
I'm just saying, like, you gotta venture out and find that one, so it's one in your fridge.
I don't have any problem tasting them all. I'll find one. I'll taste them all.
You taste them, but you're not seeking them.
Yeah, see, I don't seek them either.
Yeah. You put them in front of me. You find them, Devin. You find them for me. I'll drink them and let you know. Find it for me. Find me my perfect IPA.
Yeah,
I'm with you, man.
I'll
give you credit. I know that those lactose
Precarious.
ones kind of good.
Yeah,
That's great about your beer.
With this this phase 3 though, this isn't bad because I'm not really into the IPAs either. But I don't know if it's because I was hot as hell and I was thirsty, but this is good. Like it kind of quenched my thirst. It was
this
like
is the IPL though.
Oh, IPL.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think the fax machine
is
a bit more.
Lager.
Their fax machine is a bit more, a little bit more taste flavorful of Precarious, that you would like it.
Yeah, fax machine music's good.
That one's good.
A little lighter, really soft, easily drinkable.
Yeah.
Right. So while we're drinking this this IPL phase 3, can you tell more about it in terms of the process and what exactly is IPL for folks who do not know?
We call it IPL because we think it would be a little sexier than dry hop Pilsner. I think you can really take IPL is essentially an IPA, but brewed with lager yeast. So we used lager yeast. This is just Pilsner malt. I think this is Belgian Pilsner malt, Dingemann's Belgian Pilsner malt, and then just like some dextrin malt for body. And then it's hopped like we would hop a IPA. So there's like Whirlpool edition, and then it's dry hopped with Nelson. There's a small bittering charge as well, just to bring that bitterness up. So I think like an IPL, you can get away with a little more bitterness because people are expecting, hops. So a little bit more bitterness to it than we would do in like an actual Pilsner. And the hops in this are big, there's a little bit of that dank. There's a little bit of grapefruit. There's a little bit of goose, but a decent amount of like gooseberry white wine. Sauvignon Blanc kind of character.
Yeah, I do taste that.
Yeah. So that's kind of more in line with like IPA, some of those notes, but there's also kind of Pilsner elements to it. So we called it a dry hop session IPL because it's lower alcohol than a traditional IPL would be, like 6 to 7% would be a normal IPL. So it's weird roundabout way of kind of saying, dry hop Pilsner. But,
you can definitely taste. You can taste both of it. You can taste some of the floral notes, but you also can have some of that Pilsnery taste to it as well. So I get both of them.
What's kind of cool about Nelson is it has those multiple layers to it.
Right.
It's a favorite for a lot of brewers.
Because that's the Pilsner part is that cleansing part. Like it kind of has like a smooth,
almost refreshing. The refreshing on the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah. It finishes clean. It's dry.
Yeah.
It's the lager snap is nice. Yeah.
Now
it was made for the heat. I mean, it was made for.
Yeah, because I was going to say I just came from.
It's a summertime.
Is this a seasonal thing?
Yeah, most of our beers are
seasonal,
one and done. So
okay.
A lot of them are beers. Well, a lot of beers are going to cans that we've done before, and it's been successful. So we bring it back because it's like we need another double IPA in the mix, so we'll bring back one that we've done before.
Something to look forward to, Rob.
Yeah. We
go back to VA.
Cool new idea. So I mean, we're putting out 2 to 4 to sometimes 5 new beers a week.
Nice.
Are you guys canning all those styles every week?
We're only releasing like 1 to 2 beers in cans a week.
Okay.
But because it's a lot of process to get the
can. for sure.
designed and printed and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of the design, this phase 3 here, I love the can design, but it looks like 4 phases. There's yellow, red, green, and blue. Do you have any information behind that? Yellow, red, green, blue.
So that
phase 3.
Andrew, the owner, Andrew, does a lot of our labels for us too.
Okay.
So we come up with names and ideas, and then he'll put something together, and we'll bounce stuff back and forth. So that was actually based on a chart that he found about the phases of coronavirus and stuff like that. So that's actually based on. It looks a lot like the actual chart, but he changed some of the colors to make it look interesting. And this was the first time we tried a transparent back label. And it was a pain because just to get it made, they have to do the transparent back, and then they have to do a bunch of different layers because we have
for the colors.
We have to have that white on the bottom because we have a sensor on the labeler that has to read where this label stops. And if it's transparent, you can't read it. So there was a lot of logistics involved in it. And then the label material itself was different, so it started creasing, and we had to adjust a bunch of stuff. But
got you.
But
canning and labeling all in house, huh?
Yeah. So we have a 3-head fill semi-automated canning line. So you just put cans in the chute here, and then it rinses them, purges them, fills them, lids them, washes them off, and then off the other side they go on a conveyor belt, get labeled, and then someone's taking them, put them in cases and pack second tops.
Packs everything. Nice.
Cool. Why did you name it phase 3, Greg?
Because we were getting into phase 3 of opening in Virginia. And we thought it was helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. That's dope.
Wait, are they still at phase 3? They didn't go back, did they?
We did not go back.
But they go backwards.
Very stern talking to from Governor Northam.
Very stern talking.
We will not F this shit up.
He's a pediatrician, I think, was his previous career. So he's tapped into healthcare.
Health.
Health and
that's
wellness
good. is paramount for him.
And actually, our operations manager Julie was sitting down working on something, and she had something going on in the background, and it sounded like, "You're being selfish. You're being stupid," and all of a sudden I was like, "Is that a self-help book or a book on tape or something or a podcast?" She's like, "Oh no, that's Governor Northam's speech." Good for him.
Keep it frank. Keep it all the way frank.
He's come a long way. He's come a long way from a year ago.
Yeah, he's usually very nice gentleman, and now he's getting a little bit like, "Daddy's angry,"
Well, Governor Hogan in Maryland, he was like the same way. He was like, "What are y'all doing?"
Yeah.
I mean, because eventually it does affect. I mean, it affects everybody. So everybody got to be accountable to help each other.
But I'm still here wondering what this would have been called if we weren't in phase 3.
Yeah.
You never know. We will never know.
Yeah. I tend to come up with some pretty wacky names, and between me and Matt, the other brewer, we come up with some pretty wacky stuff. And Julie chimes in, and Andrew chimes. Everyone kind of chimes in with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Talk a little bit about the the kind of the QA, like how you guys from the moment you get an idea or you start kind of coming up with these recipes, how and kind of what's your taste panel or your QA system that you guys have kind of back end on the back end?
Well, recipes really start they can start in different ways. So it can start with we want to get another West Coast IPA in the mix. So I look at what we've done in the past, and maybe we want a lighter bodied one this time. Maybe we want one that's a little bit darker, a little bit more malt forward, and then looking at hop combinations that we have and trying to determine what's different, what's new, but still kind of in the same vein. So lagers is so I'll look at what styles we want to have in house, what we want to put in cans, what we're missing on our portfolio kind of thing. And then go from there. And sometimes it's also like we have a bunch of leftover bags of malt that, we got a better extract on the first batch than we were hoping. So we left a bag out, and now we have extra bag. And over time, those will accumulate, and we'll put a beer together with what we have. And sometimes that turns out really fantastic.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and then we end up rebrewing that later. But so inspiration comes from a lot of different places, and we have a lot of series too. So names are a little easier when you have a series, because you can kind of use that as a jumping off point for naming the beer. But it's it comes from all over the place. And when we brew the beer, you know, we're tasting them all. We're not tasting the hops, but we're smelling the hops and sensory, make sure that they're fresh. And our suppliers, we only use the suppliers that we trust, and we don't have any problems with, you know, quality of ingredients with those suppliers. So, but we always are just using our senses to check. And then during fermentation, we're, you know, checking gravities, and we're smelling the beer and making sure it's where it needs to be and tasting it. And then we do forced diacetyl tests on all of our beers. So we take a sample, heat it up to 120 degrees for 20 minutes, and then cool it back down, and then we smell it and taste it. And if there's going to be any diacetyl in that beer, it'll show up in that test. So we'll get a couple noses on it, smell it before we crash cool it, to let it a little bit. So that's part of it. And then we hold cans after we fill them for a while, and do sensory on that, and make sure that no leaks and it's holding up, and that the DO levels aren't too
flavors. Shelf life's good, huh?
Yeah. And we've had some trouble with seamers because our can supplies keep changing because of this
this pandemic
with cans. So the specs will be slightly different on the cans, and so we really have to kind of keep an eye on that to make sure that it's not, you know, really a problem. So we'll do that, and then we'll also just crack them up and make sure there's nothing funky going on.
Got it. Just popped in my head as you were explaining that process. Like, is there a right or wrong way to, I guess you would say, can you have a beer first in the refrigerator, take it out, you know, have it room temperature, and like if you're traveling, and then put it back into a refrigerator? Are there any kind of in between temperatures you should try to like maintain or keep a canned beer in, if you know, just for the sake of travel or shipping?
Yeah. So the moment it gets above basically 0 C, so 32 degrees Fahrenheit, the moment it gets above that freezing point of water, it starts to degrade. So oxidation reactions are happening as soon as it gets above that point. So whenever it's warm, it's going to start to oxidize. So you want to try to keep it cold as possible for as long as possible. Even if you're going to a buddy's house, I like to throw an ice pack in wherever,
in the bag or whatever.
Yeah, something to help maintain its temperature. And the other problem would be if you go from cold to hot to cold. If you do that enough, it's going to affect the haze of the beer. So if you're like a nice Pilsner that's nice and clear, you do that a couple times, and all of a sudden those compounds are going to start creating haze inside.
Okay. Yeah. I asked because, like I was talking about earlier, just having some space issues. My immediate go-to right now has been like the basement area, because obviously it's a lot colder down there. But also, you know, keeping them in somewhat of a cooler, even down there. But I don't know if that's isolating it too much, or should I just out on a shelf in the basement, simply, you know, because it's already cooler down there. That's why I asked.
Yeah, and I think it's depending on the beers too. So dark beers tend to fare a little bit better, partially because the roasted malts cover up the flavor of oxidation pretty well.
Okay.
So it's a similar enough flavor that it doesn't show up as fast. There's also some debate about darker malts having more antioxidant properties, so they'll actually absorb and scrub the CO2, the O2 out of the beer. Hoppy beers tend to not do very well because those hop compounds are really volatile. And so as soon as they get hot, or if they come in contact with oxygen, they start to degrade really fast. So I would say hoppy beers have to stay in your fridge.
Okay.
Imperial stout, barrel-aged stuff, that's better on a shelf if you don't have space for it.
Okay.
Lagers tend to do okay as long as they're like malt forward lagers and not like Pilsners are pretty hoppy. So you want to try to keep those cold. So anything with a hop presence, you want to try to keep cold. Anything that's more malty will do a little bit better warmer.
Got it.
Okay. And higher alcohol tends to do better too.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for that storage game.
Yeah. I'm gonna need it while I'm internet shopping.
Well, there you go.
Awesome.
A question in terms of when you moved over from, you said Commonwealth to Precarious, was it like something that was already in the works, or were you on there at the ground floor at Precarious? Like, was the name picked out when you joined? Was it open?
Actually, so they had delayed their opening. It was the Amber Ox Kitchen and Brewery was the original name of the location. Okay. That we still operate out of our original brewery, and we also have a second facility about 3 blocks away. That's Precarious Beer Hall. I think that's the one you guys visited.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
That's the one with the crazy shit on the walls and
the
and a taco bar.
Taco bar. I'm mad I didn't get tacos though.
Yeah.
And they got a taco bar. Y'all didn't get any tacos?
It's nice.
We had just 8.
We just ate. Yeah. Then we went there.
At least got a taco to go.
One taco is a snack.
I know.
They pile on tacos though, man. Let me tell you.
We'll be there next week, so we'll
be there next week. We're coming back.
We're going next week.
Yeah.
So they were
crazy. Okay. I remember you asking me.
Yeah. They were Amber Ox Kitchen and Brewery, and then I came on, but they had a brewer before I started, but he bailed last minute, like out of the blue. So they were stranded with a brewery and no brewer. So they had to delay their opening like a month or 3 or something.
Wow.
Year. And the owners took a crack at making a couple batches, and they kept one and dumped the other one. But they had the training and just made it happen, which is cool. But so I came in. They needed me right away, so I started working weekends there, and I was still running Commonwealth full time. So I was, I think, in a 40-day period, I had a single day off, and it was my daughter's birthday. So it was pretty intense. So I was going there on the weekends, driving up there from Virginia Beach on the weekends, brewing, transferring, and doing all that sort of stuff, and then going back and doing.
That's like an hour, isn't it?
That's a lot of work, man.
At least.
At least an hour. No traffic, huh?
No traffic, which
you just made me tired talking about it.
For real.
True. Hampton Bridge Tunnel is a nightmare. So
yeah.
So anyway, we got that launched. Our opening day was, I think, December 1st, 2017 at Amber Ox, and about maybe not quite 2 weeks before we opened up, there was another brewery that has ox in its name that told us that we could not use that name for a brewery, which. So I had this name, Precarious Beer Project, kind of in the back pocket of something I thought would be kind of a fun beer name, a brewery name. And so I presented it and they liked it. And so we worked on some branding and stuff. And then eventually we rebranded a bunch of times and had artists come up with this. We rebranded and we had Precarious Beer Project. It was in the Amber Ox public, which is how they rebranded. And then we got an opportunity to build out that second location because we were being successful. People really loved the Amber Ox, and it was kind of changing the landscape, I think, of Williamsburg cuisine and nightlife. And so we took Precarious out. We took the Precarious name and made a whole new separate thing with Precarious. And then we still have the brewery at the Amber Ox. We just call it the Precarious Beer Lab because it's a smaller system. We do a little more one-off stuff, and we don't can there. We tried canning there once, and it was a nightmare. So, yeah, we almost dropped the canning line off the truck and stuff. It was pretty rough. So we tried to not.
Sounds like it.
Hey, too much work for me. I'm just.
You want to take a nap after the podcast?
So you had Precarious already in your back pocket in terms of the name. Is that because you wanted to get back to you, like you were saying, you wanted to move from the production monster that Commonwealth had became into more small batches? Is that why Precarious became, or is there just some reason you just like the word Precarious?
I just always thought about it that way. I think about business in my head a lot and opportunities and branding and stuff. And, it was something that kind of resonated with me as a cool name and something that I thought represented an idea of kind of what I wanted to do eventually was something that's always new. Cause like I've always done production brewing. So it's been, about flagships. It's been, you have to have the core beers and then you're getting to play around with your, seasonals, and sometimes they'll let you do one-offs or whatever, but I found that really tedious, and really after a while I was just done with that from a personal standpoint. I was just doing that over and over again, it just gets it's grind. So having the opportunity to do something that was really creative and really getting to express what I wanted to do was really cool. So when I first started, we were doing tons of different beers, and we're putting weird stuff in there, and taking saisons and putting sorrel, and doing really cool culinary inspired beers. So we were doing some really cool stuff there. And then obviously the IPAs and stuff became really famous and popular. So beer hall is a little more like give the people what they want in terms of the hits, and we do like lagers and IPAs and double IPAs, and we don't do as much like culinary inspired stuff there, but that's where the Ox is kind of a little more of our playground with that.
Yeah, because I remember when we spoke with Nick there, he was saying that he used to work at that facility that houses the hall, because you can still see somewhere the dividers and the walls were. So it's definitely a cool space. So if our listeners out there, if you are in Williamsburg, definitely check it out. Sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of checking out, I have been sipping on this Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter is Dead. I would have never. I don't think
you didn't pick up on that immediately, though?
I probably no, because I drink a lot.
Why do you say probably no?
Why would you think that?
I drink a lot of beers with a lot of names on it. I don't know.
Don't tell mom a lot of stuff.
Right.
The Babysitter's Dead is kind of outrageous to don't tell mom.
Yeah, because
you've seen the movie, right? You guys seen the movie?
Yeah.
I
seen Applegate's like prime.
Yeah. Right. Right. I couldn't believe she was actually smart in that movie. Like, I was so fixated on Kelly Bundy, it messed me up.
Right.
The first time watching, I'm like, whoa.
Wait a minute. The QED reports.
Yeah, remember when he did the dishes?
She's still in her prime, though.
Dishes are done, dude.
Yeah, that's my part when he was doing the dishes.
So we have another sour beer that's called the Dishes. I think it's the Dishes Are Done, man.
Nice.
Have that. And they know what she's always saying, right on top of that, Rose.
Right.
We have one called right on top of that goes.
Okay.
Right on top of that goes. That's what's up.
Yeah, we definitely. The funny thing was that series didn't start as a "Don't Tell Mom Babysitter's Dead" thing. The first beer was called Daddy's Gone, because I flew back to Seattle to see my kids, and while I was gone, they texted me. Andrew texted me. He was like, "I really want to brew this beer. Can we brew this beer?" I was like, well, it's going to mess the entire schedule up that I planned for you guys, like, when I'm gone. Like, please say yes, please say yes. I was like, fine. So I wrote him a recipe and sent it to him. And so they brewed it, and they called it Daddy's Gone because I was out.
Yeah. I like that.
And then so I was like, well, it's a kind of a fun series, and he made a label for it that was cool. So I was like, well, why don't we keep the series going? We'll do another one with raspberries and dry hop it with Idaho Gem and call it Don't Tell Mom, as like a homage to the Daddy's Gone. Don't tell Mom that we, bought pizza and she we ate pizza when she was gone. So it was more like that, and then people started saying, like, don't tell Mom Babysitter's Dead. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I guess. And so we kind of played on that and started going.
Yeah, now that you said it, yeah.
This is the second time we brewed Don't Tell Mom.
Oh, good.
We had Babysitter's Dead on there as a homage, and then we also have one called the Babysitter's Dead. So.
Yo, but it's this Don't Tell Mom is pretty good. It's not what I expected it to be though. It's it's
in what way?
It's lighter than I thought it was going to be. It has a sour.
Probably expecting like the lactose sweet unfermented.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, so we don't really do that. We can our beers and we don't know where it's going to go. Oftentimes we send it up to distro.
Oh, right.
So we can't risk exploding cans. And we don't have the technology like the Veil does to pasteurize the cans, so they don't do that. So we ferment out all the fruit to make sure that it's not going to explode. I tend to like fermented out fruit beers more anyway. I think they're more refreshing, more interesting. We do try to build some body into them as well. And then we dry hop them a little bit to give a little more extra, interest and depth to them. So this is much more like a traditional Berliner Weisses are a little bit drier. Ghosts are a little bit drier, and then the fruit is usually fermented out.
Yeah, it's definitely dry, but it's good. For some reason, I find myself like chewing it. For some, like when I drink it, I'm like.
You're thinking about the raspberry.
Is that what it is?
Raspberries do usually have like that grainy, like kind of like that pit, or like not really seediness or whatever it is, but
I think it is the seeds though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. But it's all in your mind because there's no seeds or anything.
Right. And I think it's just
the beer.
The tangy sour and the sourness from it is just having me go.
Yeah, and definitely the they're definitely sour. And like I said, it is Berliner Weiss because it's not like it goes to where it would be a little more saltier.
Right.
So this is definitely good. I
think that's what happened. I was expecting more of a saltier flavor from it.
Gotcha.
It's really good. It's really good.
Now I know you mentioned Adam a few times in terms of the I guess so who makes up the whole the brain trust of Precarious Beer Project?
Good question, Rob.
Yeah, so we have two owners, are Andrew and Chris. Chris is he owns like seven other businesses too. So he's running around and Mr. Fix-It over at all those places, and he's trying to take care of things. So he's around quite a bit, even for that. He's around probably a few times a week. And he chimes in with important stuff, and obviously he's a big shareholder in the company. And then Andrew is more of the managing partners. Andrew's every day in the operations and all that sort of stuff. So Andrew's more of the active partner. Chris is very active as well, as much as he can be, while still trying to do his other stuff. And so it's me and Andrew. We have a kind of director of operations guy that floats between the two. That's Matt, and he's kind of just making sure everybody kind of gets what they need and helps where they need help. And then we have the general manager, Nick, who runs things out front and makes sure everything's running smooth. We have our head chef, which is Mike Pollard. So he's taking care of the recipes, and he's putting together the tacos and making sure that's all on point. And then Seth is his sous chef, who does a lot of that as well. And then back in the brewery, it's me as brewmaster, and we have Matt Fonts, who basically runs the Amber Ox at this point. So he's running the beer lab at the Amber Ox. He's brewing over there, and then comes back and helps me out sometimes. And then we have Owen, who is cellar hand part-time right now, and then we'll eventually move into full-time. So
nice.
He also helps out up front. So if you guys are over there and Owen's up front, he's also one of the guys who helps at the back.
Okay.
Yeah. I think next time we're in town, we need to venture and make sure we visit the other location too.
Yeah, I mean, that's an awesome place for dinner. Amazing food. Chef Brock over there is, but Brock is more like executive chef, so he kind of helps with the taco shop a little bit too. But he's kind of revamped everything at the Amber Ox, and they make incredible progressive Southern comfort food and really cool local cuisine. And then the cocktail program there is unreal. The cocktails are phenomenal at the Amber Ox. So if you guys are into cocktails, bourbon, anything cocktail related, it's pretty phenomenal.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll come with you.
Make that drive, man. Let's do it. It was fast.
Y'all going up there for the weekend?
No, we're going for the week. We'll be out.
Yeah. See, we loved it so much, we rebooked.
I was about to say, it was so good. Y'all did it again.
So good.
Yeah, y'all were just there 3 weeks ago, right?
Not even a month ago.
Dude, we trying to do it back to back.
Y'all should have just kept your asses there.
We thought about the Gunners thought about extending it. Because we really were at the tail end, Greg, just from when we came there and visited that Thursday. We were at the tail end right when you guys were about to do your Black is Beautiful can release.
Oh, cool.
Saturday, and we were like, shit, we're gonna miss it. Yeah. We're leaving, and that kind of was our introduction, to Nick, and us sitting down having a conversation with him, just about what it is that we do, the platform we have, and how that really leads itself to, hey, we're not just here as patrons buying beer, but we definitely will want to get an opportunity to taste the Black is Beautiful that was coming out that Saturday. So Segue for you, Rob.
Now when you say segue for you, Rob.
You were looking down, so I had to get your attention.
I can hear you.
So stupid.
There's been only 81 episodes.
Hey, you get it all, recorded and all.
Right.
As you said, speaking of the Black's Beautiful, your variation of Black's Beautiful, how did that one come together? Because it's not just the Imperial Stout, but it's a whole lot more. So how did that all come together? From some Weathered Souls, Weathered Souls initiative. So how did that all come together?
So Weathered Souls put out the base recipe for that stout, which is pretty much, we followed that pretty closely. They also said, feel free to play with it and add stuff, different treatments, make it yours. So we decided to boost it up a little bit with some lactose to try to get it little silky, a little creamy. The original recipe actually had a lot of late edition hops of Cascade, which I love Cascade, but I don't necessarily like it in stouts. Right. Hoppy Imperial stouts would be a really tough sell around here. So we wanted to make sure that the beer was something that people actually wanted to drink around here and buy in cans and still be interesting. So we just took some of the late hops out. And then I thought different treatments. There's different treatments you can do to stouts. And I thought would be interesting as I could get Ghana cocoa nibs from Ghana, which I think was kind of cool, and they're amazing. So those went into the beer, and that really lends like a nutty, full bodiness to the beer. It's almost more of a texture, like a tannin texture than a flavor, but they do taste like milk chocolate. And then the chilies are pretty subtle, so I didn't use a whole lot of chilies, but I wanted a little bit of like a umami boost almost, and a sensory boost to that. And there's some fruitiness to those peppers that kind of plays with it. And then I like allspice a lot, and the allspice that I got is from a spice shop around the corner. And so it actually kind of also reminded me of like the jerk chicken seasoning, which I think is really good. I was going to say allspice, almost like Jamaican food. Yeah. So I mean, and talking with Sean and some of his friends who were instrumental in helping us kind of put the whole event on and kind of change our attitude about how we include the people of color community and how they can be better actively inclusive. It was really eye-opening to me to see also how different and varied the Black experience is in the United States. And so everyone seems to experience similar things, but in different ways. And it's not just like the Black community and the white community. There's inside of that, there's so many different experiences. Right. Absolutely. So to try to pay homage to that, I think it was putting different ingredients and that kind of point towards different experiences.
I agree. That's awesome.
Good point. Right. Definitely get the jerk chicken flavor of it.
The allspice in this.
Yeah.
And then they made a taco to pair with it. That's jerk chicken taco with like a.
See, didn't get to experience that.
Yeah, I'll be back next week.
But we did meet the chef that was saying that kind of helped with the recipe as well. So, I think that's what Nick was saying, that he was instrumental in terms of trying to get that jerk chicken flavor or essence, I guess it was.
Well, he didn't help me with that, but he put together.
Throw on.
He put together a really fantastic jerk chicken taco. That was like a local peach and mango chutney on top.
Oh yeah, damn.
Yeah, there's some habanero and stuff in there. It's
okay.
Hey, Greg, I'm curious about the Black is Beautiful can. Did Weathered Souls reach out to you guys, or did you hear the call and reach out to them? And if you reached out to them, what prompted you guys to want to reach out and do a Black is Beautiful can?
So we had committed to doing that beer probably like 2 to 3 weeks before the incident that we had on our patio. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but
I did.
Tell every. I haven't heard of it, and probably our fans haven't either. So tell us all.
There was Black Lives Matter not protest, but it was a march.
It was a march.
Yeah, peaceful march that was coming down our street, and someone on our patio basically like shooed them away, kind of said, "Get out of here and stop," kind of thing.
Okay.
And so they came up to the patio. The whole movement came up to the patio and started engaging this woman. And she ended up. They started engaging each other, and we then asked the patrons to move inside so we could get them paid out and kick them out of the establishment because they were not being nice to these marchers.
Group.
In the process of that, she stood up and took her beer and dumped it on the.
Oh no!
Well, I think it was one of the leaders of the march, who was a black woman who was also pregnant, which not a good look for anybody to do that.
Right.
So it was a pretty bad thing. It was all caught on camera, and it was pretty nasty. And this woman had a history of pretty blatantly racist, tweets and stuff like that. So we picked them out, and there was a little bit of back and forth about how he handled it. It was more just a timing thing than anything, and so we hadn't announced that we were doing Black is Beautiful because we were still trying to fit it in the pipeline for the brewery. And so it seemed kind of reactionary, but it was actually already planned because we wanted to be more inclusive and support the movement. But it was still definitely timing wise, like it was good for us to be able to have that.
Y'all got that lady's address? Y'all should go drop a case of Black is Beautiful.
The whole case. She like beer too. You know she like beer.
You already know she like beer.
He was there.
Because anything she does with that is great publicity for your brewery and for Black is Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
So to tag on to that incident that happened, how did you guys formalize the event that happened? I guess that Saturday, which was like July 11th-ish. Am I right?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah,
that was a Saturday.
Yeah, it was Saturday. So we had one of our big fans, guy that comes up and grabs beer from us all the time. Sean, he goes by P Loves Beer on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had
him up.
posted his stuff a bunch of times and reached out to him and we had conversations and stuff. And he reached out to us after the incident on the patio, and as a way to we were like, how do we move forward from this? How do we show our intentions? How do we engage, and how do we keep engaging, and how do we show that we're part of the movement forward?
Okay.
And Sean was awesome about coming in and talking to us about kind of perspective and how we can give back to the community and how we can help the youth in the community, and where we should put our effort and our money to better that cause. So he was awesome with that. And we invited him to come brew the beer with us because we were brewing it the next day after that meeting. And we're like, yeah, bring your friends, bring whoever you want to bring. So we brought a whole crew of people of color that love beer. So we had cool conversations about marketing and how do we engage and how do we honor but not feel pandering, because that's not something we want to do either. We want to be inclusive and honest about that.
Yeah.
And so Sean helped us come up with some great ideas, and the whole group came up with some really good ideas for the Black is Beautiful event. Andrew found this really killer band that does like spoken word, hip hop, funk, jazz. They had this incredible sound and they were really fun. And then, we did some food pairings and stuff, and we just wanted to make it as a honest, true, fun event for everybody to be there. And it was really great to have. It was one of the most rewarding days of my craft brewing career, just to see so many people of color in that building and so many people feel comfortable and welcome. Yeah. And it was really cool, and be able to be part of that and have friends there that were experiencing that was really cool.
That's what's up.
For sure. Yeah, keep doing it.
Yeah. One of the things I mentioned, just as you're talking about, just kind of being in a space where you're feeling comfortable and where you're feeling, the energy is good. One thing I shared with some past podcast guests were just for me personally, how I move as if I'm privileged when I go to places. Even if there's challenges with racial divides or or anything like that. I move as if I'm privileged. I don't go into a space with that mindset of I could be denied or that I might be rejected or anything like that. Just so that just kind of knowing your own value, knowing your own self-worth, so that when you move around, you're not moving with this kind of just with this is again with good energy, just moving as if you're privileged. And I think that goes a long way when you go into places, and that further supports the whole Black Lives Matter movement of, hey, we shouldn't have to actually make this an announcement, but because we're in these times, it is more profound and we need to, but just to follow that, move as if you're privileged is a term that I keep inside me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Always dope, Dev.
So have y'all so before the situation took place, did you see, like, with y'all brewery, did y'all have a lot of Black customers coming in there in the first place, or was it just like here and there?
Well, it's Williamsburg, so
Gotta know the history.
yeah, it's not a lot of diversity in Williamsburg. It's predominantly, white and higher income. But that being said, we actually did. I was pleasantly surprised at how many people of color, Black, Latino, any people of color were showing up to Precarious, which was cool. It was kind of surprising, and just because of the demographic of the area.
Right.
And I've always thought that, craft beer's for everybody, and it should be, but it's historically been mostly, white men that are interested in craft beer. So we also see a lot of women that come into Precarious that love Precarious brand, and they feel really welcome. We try to make beers that are accessible to new craft beer enthusiasts as well, because there's a huge one-tap market for people that have not experienced craft beer yet. And, so I think that has lent itself to more people getting into craft beer through Precarious, and that tends to be new younger kids, and also younger women are really getting into craft beer, and people of color are really getting craft beer too. So it has felt more diverse as time's gone on, and it's also been surprising how diverse it has seemed, even given the circumstances demographically.
So is there, I guess, what can we expect from, Precarious and is there any can releases coming out like this week or next week or something like that?
Y'all trying to figure out what y'all going to get when y'all go there.
Yeah, I'm excited. When you said that one and done and beers changed, I'm excited.
So funny enough, Daddy's Gone is coming back Wednesday.
Okay.
So that's peaches, cinnamon, and vanilla Gosa.
Okay, y'all can bring that back. Thank you.
Anytime you want.
Tuck us some cans, Greg. Tuck us some cans.
I'll take that.
We're coming for them.
Yeah, how much is the shipping? How much is the shipping?
Ain't no shipping. They go get it.
We going there. We already shipping.
Right. I forgot that just that quick.
You must be drinking too much.
Look, this is a lot of cans.
Which is it looks like a Purell hand sanitizer can.
Yeah, I think I saw the can. Yeah.
What's it called?
Pure Hell.
Oh, Pure Hell.
Pure Hell. Like
Pure Hell. Nice.
Because before that we did Life Solve.
Oh, nice.
And it looked like a Lysol wipes can.
That's nice.
So we did that one. It's just topical for the time.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then we've got see what else we got coming up. We got Fortune and Glory in a few weeks. That's going to be coming out. That's our Bohemian style Pilsner, which I'm a huge fan of. Okay. And then we've got, what do we got right now? We've got another couple IPAs coming out. It seems like we always have an IPA or two coming out, but they're all pretty darn good. So pretty excited with those.
So,
whoa, frozen guy.
So.
Yeah. So while he's frozen.
So about my Wi-Fi.
Say you guys need some new beers, some new thoughts. Yeah. Nah.
I heard new thoughts.
You gotta repeat the question.
Am I frozen? Am I not? Tell me,
You're back.
tell me
You're
that.
back. I think.
Can you guys hear me? I can hear myself, and I can hear you guys. So from start to finish, like if you got a new project, a new beer that you guys want to put out, like how long does it take from idea to actually in the actual brewery being poured for the customers?
It depends a little bit about what yeast we're using and stuff like that, but it's more or less from time of recipe development. It takes maybe 3 business days to get the ingredients, sometimes more if hops are coming from the West Coast. And then it's usually like a 10 to 14 day turnaround for the actual product.
Nice.
Sometimes longer if it's 1 week clear beer. So some of our lagers we let sit a little bit longer. But yeah, usually it's about a 3-week turnaround.
Okay. That's real quick.
Yeah.
Nice.
We try to take care of our yeast and make sure that, if we get a really healthy pitch of yeast and treat it well, that yeast will clean itself up really fast, do a fermentation quickly, no off flavors, and then that beer's ready to serve faster. So if we're taking care of the yeast, then it'll take care of us in terms of time.
So Greg, quick question. I know we're obviously tasting 3 of many beers for Precarious. For a first-time patron coming into Precarious, what would you line up as in their flight if they went totally by your recommendation?
Depends on when they come.
Yeah.
True. But just, based on what's kind of in your lineup or in your wheelhouse now, what would be, your top? Are they five flights usually or 4? How do you guys do it? And what would be?
We don't do flights actually.
You don't? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
8 flights.
You do?
I will take that to my grave with me.
All right. Well, tell us more. Why? There's a story behind that.
Yeah. I'll suck my dog's chewing a bone. Donnie, give it. 1 second.
See?
No problem.
Dog life.
13 for me is around the corner. My son and this one dog
life. Yep, dog life.
I just would have been crunching all night. So we always try to we don't do flights because I don't feel like this much of any beer is going to give you an experience that's worthy of making a decision on that beer.
Okay.
I think the only thing that can tell you is if that style is for you. But so many people are consistently our lowest, because we do that at the Amber Ox. We have flights there.
Okay.
And consistently our lowest reviews social media come from people who are tasting flights. And part of that is the way it's presented. I think part of it's the way that people are going into these beers looking to be critical. And when you present them with a flight, that's exactly what you're doing. Is you're like, here, critique these.
That's interesting because I've never gotten a flight and thought about criticizing. I thought about trying to taste every beer and having
expand your
right
palate.
Exactly. Yeah, I've always thought about it as more of an experience rather than I'm looking forward to hating this beer. That's silly. That seems silly.
It is silly, and I think not everyone thinks that way. But I mean, the way that you're approaching it, I think, is exactly how you should be approaching it.
Right.
What we will do is we will do like 4-ounce pours of beers for people. So if you're really on the fence, and you want to get 4-ounce pours of a few beers, you can basically do a de facto tasting. It's just a larger pour, and you get charged per pour, but it's pretty reasonable. So we don't want to deny anybody tasting the beers. We just don't want to have like a flight that we put out there because, and honestly, it's a huge waste of our bartenders' time. Because they can pour 1 flight in the time it takes them to pour 4, 5, 6 pints.
Speaking from a beer tender, that is fast.
True.
Beer tenders flights.
Yeah.
So it's
Got it. Okay.
I never knew that. That's a great perspective. Yeah, that's a great perspective.
And like as he says it, and I think about it, it's kind of even with you trying to figure out what kind of beer that you like. If you just going into it, it's really kind of hard to figure out with a flight because one, you drink a stout and then you go right behind it and drink an IPA.
Like I was actually listening to Greg. I was thinking like I would want the beer tender to tell me the order. In order to drink it, but then at the same time, like, is it the right temperature now? Like, is it like if the stout is last or the ghost is last, is it at the proper temperature? Like all these different things that I never even thought of. And I want 4 ounces. Let me taste 4 ounces over 2.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we do that because we care about the beer, we care about the perception of the beer, and we care about the experience. And I think the flight at our particular place would take away.
Doesn't do you justice. Doesn't do any good. Okay.
And also, I feel like service is a huge part of that. So if we're not training our bartenders right, and they're not passionate about the product, and they're not listening to the customer, they should be able to narrow you down to 2 beers on that menu.
Right. Without without involving a flight.
And find you your perfect beer for that moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that engages our customers with the client, and like it just with our bartenders, and it creates a better experience for everybody. So
Gotcha.
Good stuff.
Now, I don't know if you mentioned in terms. I know a lot of proceeds are going to different organizations for Black is Beautiful. Did you mention what this particular beer is going to?
It's going to the Williamsburg area NAACP.
Okay.
Oh, good. Okay.
That was actually one of the suggestions that Sean made, because we were looking for a local way to give back directly to the community here. And then we are also in July, a dollar for every 4-pack of cans sold goes to the National Black Lives Matter movement.
And that's just just a regular, just of any beer?
Of any beer, yeah.
Okay. That's dope.
That's really good, man.
I like
All right. Any more questions for Greg?
No.
Oh, plenty more, but I'm gonna let him off the hook.
Y'all can take the mics down there next week and put them in his face.
So you did say that you're there pretty much, most days except for Sunday and Monday. We would like to, meet you in person.
Yeah.
So, maybe grab a bite. Talk over tacos. Talk about some things that
so corny. Talk
over tacos. That could be a whole episode. Talk over tacos. Look at that.
That black is beautiful with them jerk chicken tacos for sure.
But as we talk over tacos, maybe we could just share with you kind of what more about our platform. Obviously, where you're kind of on the interview kind of side, but it seems like that you guys are some very, very down to earth folks who not just get beer, but you get people. You're involved in your community. You're involved in things that matter, and we can kind of share with you some of our thoughts and ideas of what could come in the future that you guys could be a part of.
That sounds great. Yeah, we always want to kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah. How far do you guys travel, and just in terms of even like being a part of different beer fests? Obviously, beer fests that are happening or have been shut down or postponed or canceled. Have you guys participated in beer fests and what's that space look like for you guys?
We've done a ton of beer fests in Virginia, obviously. So we distribute Virginia and North Carolina. So those are really the only 2 places we go. I don't think we've done DC yet. We've done Alexandria. Okay. So we've done beer fests up in Alexandria. We've done beer fests Northern Virginia. We've done beer fests all over the place. We went to one down in North Carolina. I think it was Charlotte.
Okay.
So
what time of the year was this? What time of the year was it when you went?
Yeah, what time of year? We need to know.
I think it was summer. I actually didn't go. We had 2 of our employees.
Representatives go.
Yeah, I think I was brewing or something. I couldn't make it, but and the connection that we made to get us down there was we sent the people that actually made those connections.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
Good.
That makes sense.
We ended up making good friends with the Heist brewery down there. Ryan, who's like kind of their social media manager and events coordinator and stuff. He's been a good supporter of ours now too. So we're hoping to get something with Heist going. Be kind of cool.
Okay. Oh, nice. All right. Once again, I want to thank Greg Fleehart from Precarious Beer Project for coming on.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Where's a good round of applause at, Rob?
Good.
You got that big switchboard over there.
He did it.
It was
we can't hear it.
You're hearing on the playback.
There you go.
But before we always wrap up, we like to know where people can find information about Precarious or yourself. So where can they find you on these worldwide webs?
So precariousbeer.com is our website. You can link to all of our social media through there. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Those are the two major platforms that we utilize. And then you can follow me on Instagram if you want, but it's mostly mountain biking videos.
Okay, that's your thing.
Oh,
show the bruises.
Yeah,
the good christenings.
It's mostly mountain bike videos and pictures of brewing. So if you're interested in that, you can follow me there. And then, we're constantly updating our social media with events, with can releases, with just kind of what's happening in the brewery. So you can kind of see kind of who we are through that.
Cool.
Right.
And obviously come see us at the actual location.
What's the address?
What's the address to your locations, Greg?
So the beer hall is 110 South Henry Street. And that's Williamsburg, Virginia. And 23185 zip. And then the Amber Ox Public House with the Precarious Beer Lab is 525 Prince George.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's Williamsburg as well.
Williamsburg in the building.
Yeah. And you can walk to both of them. They're only about 3 blocks away from each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
I did not know that.
You get dinner and cocktails at the lab, and then you walk and get
going down. Oh, we gotta hire a nanny, Rob.
Y'all need a traveling all pair. You need an all pair.
All we gotta do is go online to care.com.
Ain't that vetting different during quarantine?
Right now,
gotta be a little bit different. Yeah, it's a different type of vetting. Last question: do you have a kid-friendly brewery?
Yes, well-behaved kids are welcome at our brewery.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And actually, a lot of people love it because they bring their kids and hand them a bag of quarters and say, "Go play games."
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's that.
We've got video games. We've got Pac-Man Battle Royale.
The 40-year-old kids like that too.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Give me a bag of quarters.
Yeah.
He said well behaved. Though, so don't
That's
bring
true.
Kids up to that.
We have a Pac-Man Battle Royale, so you can play Pac-Man against 3 other people.
Oh wow!
Oh man!
And it's right next to the brewery. And I will tell you, people make the weirdest noises when they play that game.
I bet
It sounds pornographic, actually.
That's crazy.
So if you guys are playing that game, just be mindful of your sounds.
Right.
Yes, and that you can hear.
I will be judging them.
Right, especially after you have a few beers.
Right.
Nothing else does that. It's just that one game.
It's just that one game.
That's funny.
All right, Dev, where can they find you?
You can find Devin Aaron on Instagram at DevinAaron_the_great.
All right, Lou.
You can find me at Lou Belgium for all your beer needs. I'm on them Instagrams.
Why you get that close to the camera? I don't know.
Get back. Like Luda say, get back.
Get back.
And
you can find me on Instagram at 302 Yoda and on Instagram and Facebook at Delaware on Grind.
All right. And you can find Bruising Banter Podcast at Bruising Banter Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts like iHeartRadio and Pandora. And you can go to www.bruisingbanter and get that merch if you like to.
That merch.
Get that merch.
Face masks,
please do.
T-shirts, glasses. We in here.
And also,
just T-shirts right now.
we got the vendor to do the glasses, so why not promote it?
And also, don't forget that you can still go on to www.craftforbrew.com and put in the promo code BBP4 and get 15% off on your home brewing kits.
Yes, right. Bruising Banter Podcast 4.
Yep.
Number 4.
BB4, absolutely. Well, until next time, this has been episode 81. Peace.
Have a good week, everyone.